Greetings to you. Kristofer here with another summer spiritual sustenance offering coming to you from St. Francis Episcopal Parish. I'm actually sitting out on the steps of my high school. I was out for a run when it dawned on me that I had to get a video recording in for tomorrow's reflection so that you could listen to it. While I'd been preparing it for a while, I forgot to look at my note to remind me to do it before I went out for the run, so I'm going to take a pause to share this. Today's reflection comes to us from Mark 6. The first part of it I found interesting. It's Jesus' rejection in his hometown. And for those of you who don't know, I grew up here in Catonsville, where I live now, and while I don't do a whole lot of ministry in this context, even though so much of the ministry that I'm doing these days actually is occurring from my house over the phone and over the computer, but with you all out in the northern Baltimore County region. But I think about what it means to be rejected and to struggle with the complexity of relationships and history and having people think they know who you are when maybe they don't. That's really just a side note for the deeper message that I'd like to share with you. Also in that passage is the sending, Jesus' sending of the 12. And it's important for us to remember that this wasn't a group of 12 people that he called to sit around and have periodic monthly meetings and run committees. This was a group that he was sending out into the world to share the good news, to heal people, to cast out the demons, to feed them, to feed people. This was really intense ministry that he was calling them to. And they were really clear about the mission that they were called to. I wonder how much you think about the mission of God in your life. I wonder, as a congregation, as we live into this new identity, we've got some important work ahead of us as we ponder the particular mission that we have been called to live out among our congregation and in our communities. How you and me share the gifts that we've been given in a unique way that changes us and changes the world and shares God's love in powerful ways. One of the passages that we read as he was giving them instruction, giving the disciples instruction, was to tell them to take no purse, no bread. You could carry your staff as you were to walk with it, but one pair of sandals, not 2 tunics, but what you were wearing. And just to expect to rely on the kindness of others and to be dependent on God to provide as you went forth. Can you imagine doing ministry in that context where you really give everything up? You let go of everything in order for God's purpose, God's mission to take hold of your life in an even more powerful way. I pray that I can continue to grow in that, and I pray that we as a congregation can continue to grow in faith so that we might live our lives out in even more powerful modes of God's love. When Francis of Assisi, early in his call, he was said to have gathered a couple of disciples, a couple of his brothers around with him as they were trying to figure out what it was that they were being called to do. Francis himself had been called in the chapel in San Damiano, praying before the cross, was told, Francis, repair my church which has fallen into ruin. And he sought to really give his life completely over to God, and so they were praying around in this chapel space and reading. They opened up a Bible, and actually I sent Lisa some pictures of that Bible, the Bible that they think that the disciples with Francis opened up, that these 3 brothers opened up, and they closed it 3 times and opened it, and there were 3 passages that they turned to, and one of them was this passage in Mark, and this idea of living, of taking nothing and going, of living so simply that you rely completely on God. Now, I'm not suggesting that we have the courage and faith to do that, but I do think it's important that we ponder what it means to take that to make that kind of commitment, and how much that can really change us. The ministry context that we are doing ministry in today is a really challenging one. The world is changing around us quickly. Our lives, our congregation, everything is changing, and it's hard. It's really hard to deal with. And yet God is present with us in and through all this. So may we continue to find faith and courage as we face into the challenges that we have. May we trust completely in God to guide us in this time. So wherever you find yourself this day, whatever opportunities God puts before you, may you know that you have everything you need to give God everything you have, so that God can use you to change someone's life. It might be in a small way, but you really never know the kind of impact that God can have through us. As God's mission continues to unfold in your life and in my life and in our life together, may we grow in powerful ways, ways that we might not be able to imagine today, but as we walk this journey together in simplicity, in love, in obedience and trust, as God guides us, may we continue this journey together. Christ's peace be with you, and I look forward to our next conversation.